Welcome to the Come Up Starter Kit podcast, guys. Today I have a very special guest. I'll be interviewing Jennifer Rosario, who is the founder of Selective Entertainment. Now, Jennifer is joining us from New York City, and she has had a colorful career from being an attorney at law, working in Dubai as a project manager, and then transitioning into the entertainment world. She was an actress and working for huge brands like Bad Boy Entertainment and We the Best Music. Thank you for joining me today, Jennifer.
Oh my God, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for the invitation to be on this show.
Wonderful. Now, Jennifer, we are going to deep dive into your career, get to know you, understand your journey and where you're at today. This show is all about helping people find their dream jobs, and you have had a very, very cool career. Now, my first question to you is, can you give the audience a quick 60-second rundown of who you are and what you do now?
Yes, well, my company, Selective Entertainment, right now, we do a lot of special event plannings for concerts. We also do a lot of promotions and marketing as well for the artists when they're ready to do their promotional tours overseas. And I also have a company where we do special events and collaborate with other companies as well for other special events. Like we have one coming up for New Year's Eve
Okay.
in Times Square. That's going to be amazing.
Well, okay, so we'll jump into a little bit more about that and flesh that out to understand what that is and what that looks like into a deeper form, yeah?
Yes.
All right, very good. Now, did you think when you started your career that when you first began to where you are now, did you think that this was going to happen?
It's very interesting you asked me that question because
Right,
at the age of 4, I knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I wanted to
right,
be an actress. I wanted to be a model. I wanted to be a
right.
singer. So
Yes.
I already had that visualized in my mind, and I started writing at 4 years old at a
Oh,
very
wow.
early age, poetry, storytelling. So when I was in middle school, I was approached by an artist to be in a group which was with Def Jam Records.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't even have to like I say it's God's way because it was presented to me at that time. They were like, "Oh, would you like to be in this group?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
So straight from there, we went to the recording studio, Chung King Studio. I was already like in the circle, the network with Russell Simmons,
Oh,
with all the big greats at that time, all the big promotion companies that were like doing things like Jay-Z,
oh,
Damon
wow.
Dash, Best Buy
Yes.
Productions, and even P. Diddy Combs. Before
Oh,
he even became an artist, I was already in that circle of music promotions, flyers, parties.
and so you were just grinding in that so before it all was going down, you were just grinding to become that person.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And so was that something that you wanted to do when you finished high school? Was that like, yeah, cool, I know my plan. This is exactly the route that I'm going to take.
I always loved the arts. I've always loved
Right.
music. So that was always the route. It's just that when I went over to, after graduating from middle school, I went to high school. I was in a chorus group. I already had a hit single on the radio. So at that point, I was still in that party mode circle with the promotions always.
Right.
So even when I met P. Diddy Combs, it was
Right.
already at a venue in the city where he
Right.
was a dancer. He was actually
Oh,
an intern
right.
at Uptown Records. He was a dancer for Heavy D back then when
Right.
he was, alive. So we
Yes.
were always like artists, people, just music, party, just promotions. So it was just so amazing at that time. Everyone was already in that music grind.
Right, right. Okay. So then what was your job when you finished high school? When it was all said and done, what were you doing then there after high school?
Right. After high school, I decided to go and do a second major with the law. I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I already had the music already down packed.
Right.
let me learn about business contracts so I can know
Okay.
about the ins and outs of the business.
Right.
So even during that time, I was still doing like music videos. I was also in like movies, auditioning. Some not really too much auditioning in New York. It was already
Okay.
like pre-selected in New York, like an
Okay. Right.
invitation, like a casting director would call me and was like, "Oh, do you want to be in this video?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "Sure, great. As long as I fit it around my school's, my college schedule, I'm down
Yeah.
for it."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. For
I
sure.
just made sure that I finished up my degree,
Okay.
as far as that was concerned. And then at the same time, I had an internship with the law firm.
Right.
So that was already in play. So I was like doing all of that all at the same time, you know?
So did you think that you were going to end up following the field of law at all?
I was definitely interested in the field of law because it was just exciting to
Okay.
know about the business, how to get contracts, how to just know about how to protect yourself, with
Yeah.
your rights, just know everything.
Yeah.
So it was just like music was always still like pulling me. And I was like, you know
Right.
what? That's what I love and that's what I enjoy. So I just have to balance it all, you
Okay.
know? Yeah.
But you did a little bit of law, right? You were attorney of
Yes, I
law and
do.
okay.
Amazing. I mean, it was just a great opportunity. I worked at a prestigious law firm in Madison
Right.
Avenue.
Right.
We did real estate law,
Oh
all
wow.
trusts and estates. There
Right.
was also a firm there that we all worked together that did music with the Billboard Chart Awards artists.
Okay. Okay.
So
And
all
then
of that was fine.
okay, and then you were also a project manager as well in Abu Dhabi.
Yes, yes. How that came about was this particular manager that was also an artist and he was also a booking agent was
Right.
like, "Oh, would you like to work with Abu Dhabi?" But the funny thing about Abu Dhabi was I already knew the Prince of Dubai because of one of the bodyguards that I was introduced to,
Oh
artists.
wow.
So when that opportunity came about, I was like, absolutely, I would love to be the project manager because that's already in my circle, you know?
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
so what were you doing as a project manager? What did that cover off?
Oh my God, it was amazing. I mean, during that time, I was still working with Bad Boy Records. I
Right.
also was working with President Obama on his
What?
campaign. So
From a
it was
marketing
just
perspective?
amazing. Yeah, I had a schedule. We had executive assistants, just a busy schedule. So at that
Right.
time, we would set up meetings with like Daffy's. We would set up meetings with Ross because we
Yeah.
were able to get the fashion, the retail at like pennies of a dime. Like for
Right.
instance, the things that you see like in Walmart that they charge shirts for like $15. The
Yes.
people in Dubai, the prince, the crown, all of them would get it at like 5, 10 cents. And it would be rolled up in like little yields and they would put it in these canisters. So
Right.
they would come all the way from Dubai and then ship it all the way to New York City and even
Right.
to Secaucus, to all those places that you see, Marshalls, Ross, all those stores. So it was just amazing to communicate with the New York office, also the Beverly Hills office,
Yes.
and just work on those overruns of fabrics that they were able to get. It's just amazing.
So you had then already transitioned into the entertainment world, right? So
Yes,
you that was what started it off first before you sort of embarked into sort of different elements, right?
yes.
Okay. And so then when did you, so you obviously started working for Bad Boy Entertainment. When did you decide, okay, the model management, the entertainment world was where you're going to sort of fully immerse yourself?
It was basically a done situation. I mean, I wanted to
Right.
touch all fields because I feel like once you're into entertainment, you have to do modeling, you got to do
Gotcha.
film, you got to do television, you got to do
Okay.
music. So we had always a wonderful team around us as far as,
Right,
okay, this person is going to handle the model scouts, make sure the models has the correct portfolios, the great
right,
looks. Then we
right.
had another person, okay, make sure the auditions went out. Then we had the accounting staff. So it was just all intertwined, and it still is to this day. We have a team and network that we still work with each other.
Okay. And so when I was looking at your profile, you attorney of law, project manager, but then obviously your back history is you're already singing, you're creating records and stuff like that. When you decided to then do sort of that model management side, and you've sort of mentioned that it all intertwines, was there a part where you're like, okay, it's the model management, the talent management where I'm going to now do my focus?
No, it was pretty
Okay.
much with my business partner. He was doing the model
Ah,
management. I was even doing it before that. It was all like, let's just intertwine everything all together.
right.
So even with the artists, when they were on tour or just certain things, I was like, you know what? This person's available for this. If it's the correct offer, let's close the deal. So we
Right.
always had that client list available to all the buyers, the advertising agencies, even with the project manager situation, we even sent things over to Sean John
Yeah,
and
wow.
also other clothing companies was like, hey, do you want to jump in on this? Because we
Yeah,
have a
wow.
great deal, you know?
Okay. So you've obviously then now you're now working with some really huge brands. Obviously Bad Boy Entertainment and then other noticeable brands as well. For people that don't know about your industry, especially on that management side, what does that look like? What does a day in a life look like for you? And what are the intricate details that you get to do on a day-to-day perspective?
Well, on a day-to-day perspectives, I get a lot of emails. Let's just start
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So I get a lot of emails. I have to sit through them and just
Right.
see, okay, great. So this casting director is working on this. How can
Right.
we co-collaborate? Or, oh, all right, I have this investor that wants to start this particular project. Let's see if we could merge that casting director with that production company, with those actors, with those artists.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what my day consists of. And then I also see like what's out there because I also
Okay.
have like a lot of memberships. Like I'm part of the Polestar directory.
Yeah, right.
So part of that network where I'm able to see the tour schedules. I'm also with like casting networks where I'm able to post, publish, and see what's out there and all
Okay.
these casting boards. So I get a lot of emails and I just go through them, follow up and like, okay, great, let's do this. We're available. All right, awesome. And then texting messages, just that's how it goes.
Okay, so it sounds like you're the conduit between sort of the talent and then the individuals that are interested within the talent, and then you're brokering the deal in terms of what needs to be done and what are the next steps. And if you think that it's a good deal, if you think it's a bad deal.
Yeah, pretty much if it's a good deal as far as the offer, if they're available, because at that time they could be doing
Right.
other interests
Okay.
or, so that's pretty much how it works, like right now, actually, yesterday, I got an offer from the military base.
Right.
So they want some artists to do something in June. So I gave
Right.
them a whole wish list, not so much a wish list, an available list of these are the artists that are available.
Okay.
So what they do is they take a look at it from there. They look at the budgets, the transportation, the per diem, the flights. And then, once everything's in ink, an official offer letter, then they're ready to go.
Okay. I've got two questions from that follow-up then. So if someone is interested in sort of brokering a deal with you, what does that look like? How does someone go about reaching out to you? And then like, let's say, for example, they want to deal with one of your artists and they're like, hey, you know what, I want to bring them out. How does someone go about doing that with you?
What they do is just they send me an email. They actually send me
Right,
an email, and then
right.
I take a look at it and I see the details like the dates, the cities. And then from there, I'll see like whose schedule is doing what, or I'll automatically put them that they're available. And then let them see if that's who they really, really want. Let's close
Right.
the deal, make it happen, you know?
Okay. And so, what are the skills that you've learned throughout your career, especially within this space? Because it sounds like you're dealing with a whole bunch of different people. You're coordinating. You know you're batting for one team, but you're also trying to make sure that you're closing the deal out. What are the skills that you've developed whilst doing this?
I would have to say the best skill has been communication,
Yeah.
maintaining wonderful relationships with them,
Right.
always supporting them. I'm always so proud of them as far
Yeah.
as what they're doing.
Right.
Whenever they're doing something, on social media or even or I'm always in the loop, always, just cheering on and just making sure that, I support everything that they do, and I'm
Yeah.
always interested and wonderful to like collaborate with them.
Okay. And so, what was it that when you were like, okay, cool, because you've worked for a number of different brands, but then you've gone to go essentially set up your own business, which is a selective entertainment, right? When did you know, okay, cool, this is that point that I'm going to go out and start my own business?
Actually, how I started my own business is when I was working with an artist,
Right. Okay.
working with Warner Brothers with a particular movie with Ice Cube.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
So
yeah,
he was like,
yeah.
I would love for you to do public relations and manage me. So from that
Right.
point, I started Selective Management in Los Angeles.
Right.
And after that point, I continued doing parties, I continued doing things, still modeling. And then when I was in New York City after 9/11,
Right.
in 2005, that's when I started Selective Entertainment to broaden it more. I was like, you know
Gotcha.
what? Let me just bring on more things, more elements to it. But I have both companies. I actually have Selective Management and Selective Entertainment, both.
Got you. Okay. And so break it down for me to understand both of it. Give me the rundown in terms of what both look like and what you cover off.
Yeah, as far as Selective Management, that was one on one with private artists to do like music videos, to do
Right.
movies, and
Right.
also to do styling. I did a lot of styling as well. So
Right.
if an artist reached out to me, was like, Jennifer, would you like to handle this budget from Lionsgate or with Koch Records? We would love for you to do the styling for everyone on set. So I was like, great. Just
Right.
let know what the day rates are, what the budget is, and let's make it happen. And then I'll reach out to different designers and was like, oh wow, would you like to be part of this? Also the
Right.
magazine after the movie was over or the music video, they needed press. I
Yeah.
would contact Source magazine, the Vibes back then, and
Yeah.
even magazine, or hiphop.com, you know, and just Men's Health, Vogue magazine, just all those different companies, and
Okay.
even the news as well.
Okay. And so your goal here is to try and get as much exposure for these artists as possible. So you're dealing with a whole lot of different stakeholders and building those relationships to try and blossom that career out for them.
Yes, that's what I actually did for them. It was great to do that for them. Even international deals. I was able to
Yeah.
work with national artists when they were overseas working on their albums. I was able to collaborate with German artists, Russian
Wow.
artists, and even worked with like the Sonys in like Germany and Russia, and was able to like do all the point deals and make sure the masters, the copyrights was on point.
Yeah. So then, because you were already into the industry, how do you like? Was it just you were just sort of pushed into this sort of management side, or did you have to go through actual formal training and stuff like that to sort of build your knowledge base and build the skills?
I didn't actually have to be like forced into it. It was just like I was so blessed to meet a lot of different artists that
Got
trusted
you.
me
Right.
and was like, oh, please, would you be able to do this for me? Would you be able to do that for me? And I'm like, great. I love to do it, and I'll bring on
Right.
some people on board that we can work together,
Right.
from executive assistants to road managers to bodyguards,
Right.
security.
And so it sounds like within your just you being you, you've built up and cultivated this network that's allowed you to flourish within this career, which has provided you all this opportunity. Has that been a big element to your success?
Yes, it definitely has been an element, thank God, of course, first, and of
Of
course, all
course.
the wonderful people that I was able to collaborate with,
Right.
and just keep moving.
Yeah. And so what do you love about what you do? Like if someone is interested in doing what you do, what is it that drives you? What's that passion?
As far as the passion drive, I just love the arts. I mean, there's just something exciting
Yeah.
about entertainment because it's like you get to build something and it's like you can create whatever your mind desires and just go from there, and just
Yeah.
create.
And so on the side, especially people that enter into the arts world, it's always known for being a shaky industry, right? It's either you're hot and you're not, or whatever it may be. What's the hardest aspect within your specific role in industry?
I wouldn't say so much is like hard. I mean, it's just basically the times when they have to go on and like, for instance, have to do like a movie or like work on their own individual crafts.
Right,
That time when I come in and I do events planning. That's where
right,
the event planning comes in.
right,
Keep the flow of money still coming in as things are coming in. I even secure sponsorship deals. So I'm actually working on the NFL Super Bowl, which I've done before, where I've actually got a brand that wants to be part of the NFL in Las Vegas. So
right,
I even had people like hit me up in my DM or Instagram is like, oh my God, I had this wonderful product. Can you place this somewhere? I've even worked
right,
with the Brain Awards, with the BET Awards, and have like the gifting suites where they
right.
present the beautiful celebrity gift bags to the artists and the people presenting, hosting the award shows.
So it's not just artists that you're actually representing, you're also representing brands that want to try and make it or and pop as well.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. So it's a whole different facet in terms of what. So let's just break it down. So you've got the entertainment side, you've got the talent side, but then you've also got that branding side, right? So you're the when people come to you or look at you, you are that person that can help them take whatever that they're trying to achieve to the next level because you have dealt with so many different contacts, and then you're looking at your schedule and then popping that schedule in when it comes to the talent. But then if the talent is booked out and they're doing their own little thing, you're then working on your own type of events type. So let's break down that aspect. What does the events type look like that you create?
Oh my goodness. As far as the event stuff, like for instance, for BET, when they do their award shows, a lot of the publicists, a lot of the team is all the same people.
Right,
So they're like, oh my God, do you have a brand that wants to be part of this?
right,
So, okay, great. What new brand can we put on? Sometimes the brands will sponsor again the following year, or
right,
maybe we'll get another brand, another opportunity to sponsor something. So
right.
we're
Okay.
constantly networking with new people, just getting people out there to get those viewships on TV networks, also
Yeah.
social media, get those numbers up, and
Right,
also for them to get sales, for these
right.
brands to get sales.
Yes. And so it sounds like you are just constantly chatting with so many different people. You've mentioned that communication was such a important aspect and a driving impact to you. What was it about the importance of communication that you found was so important to your trajectory?
As far as communication, I just feel it's wonderful just to let people know, what they're doing at that time. And if they're
Right.
not available, we know they're not available, but at
Yeah.
least to keep the lines of communication open and let them know, hey, this is what I'm working on. And then
Right.
they'll send me an email like, Revolt, when we did the Revolt World. They were like, "Oh my
Right.
God, would you like to be part of the Revolt World?" I was like, "Absolutely."
Yeah,
So
right.
always like, if I'm available, I'll go down, I'll support it, I'll even send my brands, whoever it is that wants to be part of it, and see if they're available. Like even for the
Right.
Super Bowl, yeah, just keep everyone constantly informed of what's going on so everyone knows what we're working on.
Okay. And so then as we go back to your career, you've now worked, well, you've been working with these huge brands such as Bad Boy Entertainment, We the Best Music. What's it like working for those particular brands, being such large brands?
It's just amazing to work with them. I just remember when one of the managers reached out to me when Ace Hood was working
Oh,
on a
yeah.
tour. I was
Yes.
already working the Bad Boy tour. So he was like, "Oh my goodness, can you get me some dates for Ace Hood, DJ Khaled's artist?" I was like,
Yes.
"Sure. Let me reach out to the same buyers and see if they're interested." So that's how I was able to get down with DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
You know, had reached out to me and was like, "Jennifer, do you have some dates for him?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Sure." And then from there, we were able to work on that particular promotion of that album and get him out there. I mean, it was just amazing. We were the first people to bring him out to Paris. And
Oh,
he loved it. That's
wow.
why he had that hit song Bugatti, you know?
Yes. Another, so you keep touching on the point, and people may not know, right, in this world, what this world it looks like. When you talk about a buyer, what does a buyer mean?
A buyer just basically means someone that wants to purchase a particular artist for promotion of an album.
Okay,
Like they're sitting out. They're like, "All right, great. We would like to put a tour run together." And
right,
usually those runs could be for that particular first introduction. It could be 2 or 3 months on tour
right.
or 1 2 months. And then after that, that particular single, because the
Hmm.
fans worldwide are so loyal, you
Yeah.
can tour overseas from like 6 to 10, 15, 20 years. Those artists
Wow.
still tour
Right.
overseas at hit single.
Oh,
And
you're
then when the
kidding.
I like, all right, great. Do they have new material out? Yes, they just dropped a new thing in the studio. Okay, great. Let's bring them back out there again. All right, let's do a playlist. Let's put the previous hits that were the top 40 and let's all make another new tour. So that's just how it just keeps going as a cycle.
Okay, so let me understand it from this perspective. So I'm a buyer, I contact yourself, and then I'm like, hey Jennifer, I like one of your artists and I want to bring them to Australia. And we want to do sort of like a touring schedule with that artist. What so I send you an email and that's what it says. So what are the next steps then that need to happen in sort of what needs to get the ball rolling in terms of the next phases to bring that individual down? What are the negotiation things that I need to be aware of when discussing with yourself?
Right. As far as the negotiations, the budget, you have to
Okay,
have like an investor, private investor, or it could also be an entertainment company that has a budget.
okay,
And they also get sponsors. So the
right,
sponsors are also the ones that pay for the ticket sales, the promotions, the flights, the per diem. And
right.
once that is locked in for that particular engagement, then we have to do those dates with those individuals, whether it's a 10 city tour, a 20 city tour, 30 city tour,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
like that.
And so that could mean, so it like so if I'm the buyer, it doesn't mean that I'm just doing Australia. I could take this artist across the world.
Yes.
Wow, okay, interesting. And are there things that you require that need to be quite clear if someone is interested in dealing with one of your artists? Like, what are the five key criterias that you need that buyer to approach you with? So then you're like, okay, cool. I know that you're a serious buyer. You understand this, this, and this. Are there things that they need to know?
Yeah, they just basically need to know like the cities, the venues, the ticket sales, as far as what their catering requirements are, their
Right.
travel arrangements, just everything just to make everything, flow and move along.
Okay. And then when it comes to the actual pricing, how does someone determine the pricing aspect to you? Do you have like a rate card where you're like, these are the rates, let me know if you can do it, or is it just a back and forth negotiation?
It's just between the back and forth negotiation. A lot of the times, the investor, the buyer has like a number in their head. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, I could sell this for example, $49, $99 or $100 a ticket to see
Yes.
this particular artist, just to make sure that they cover the expenses, the venue. So it just, makes sense all around for them. And that's how they get those big sponsors on board, so
Gotcha.
they can sure everyone profits from it.
Okay. And is there important aspects? So they have to obviously cover, if I'm a buyer, I need to cover off the talent and the management, hotel, the flights, the food. Like, are there certain important aspects that the buyer needs to be aware of?
As far as the aspects, I mean, it would just be the special, needs that they want, whether it's like they want water or, they want fruits or,
Right.
they want to make sure, like with some artists, they're like, oh, let's make sure we have some roses for the audience,
Yes.
just
Right.
specific things that they ask for in their writers. They have writers where they
Okay.
put specific things that they love.
And now you were actually the first person to bring down Bad Boy Entertainment to Australia.
Yes.
And how was that? How did you enjoy that experience coming to Australia?
Oh my God, it was just amazing to go to Australia. People were so friendly. They were so nice. It was just a wonderful experience. We had a show at the candy store.
Yes.
Uh, it was just amazing. And then we also had like appearances where the artists were able to do autograph signings.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Cool.
we even had a chance to go to the opera house. They like took us out to the opera house just to see the sights, even to go like downtown to the cities and see the historical like churches and
Yeah.
landmarks.
Okay.
And also the
Now,
fun part, malls too, and see what kind of clothes gear you guys have out there.
yeah. Did you get to see any sort of Australian animals like koalas and kangaroos?
Yeah, actually had two, and they actually gave us koala bear gifts. So we
Yes.
all were able to receive gifts from, the buyer out there and the investor.
Okay. Now, when going back to when you kicked off your career and then going into the entertainment world, were there challenges that you then faced as you started your own business?
I mean, the only thing that I would have to say the challenges is just the schedule, just
Okay.
to make sure that when we had a particular artist, it wouldn't conflict with other dates. So once we had the contract locked in,
Yeah.
another another promoter, they wouldn't be able to add things on unless they had permission, and they would have to share the budget costs and all
Gotcha.
the expenses.
Okay.
So once we have those engagements locked in, we're locked in. And if you want to join, you then have to be part of the process with the budgets.
Okay, gotcha. Now, as you look back at what you've achieved, if there was one thing that you were like, you know what, this could have actually helped fast track my career, what were some of the learnings and the growths that you would be like, you know what, I wish I had this when I was going through it all?
I mean, there was no ifs or hows, because even with Australia, when we first went out there, I had reached out to Chris Lighty,
Oh, yes.
the mentor. I was like, hey,
Yes.
I got an invite to Australia. The numbers, does these numbers work? And he
Right.
was like, you know what? I just had an artist out there do the deal. So every now and then you had like a mentor or someone to tell you, hey, those particular budgets or those particular, because Australia is so far.
Of course.
So artists were first invited there. They were like, oh my goodness, that's like over like so many hours. Right. We want X amount of dollars
Of
because we
course.
on this flight for so long.
Yes.
A lot of the mentors would like take it. take it no matter what, and they'll enjoy the experience, and it would help broaden their sales, the record sales.
Got you.
That was one of the challenges that at first we had to endure with some of the countries. It's like, okay, great, the distance, those are far places.
Was there any fears that you had to overcome throughout your career that you knew that if I get over this fear, it's going to help me?
I wouldn't have to say there was like fears. I would have to say more so, I've always trusted God, and then just made sure that I'm working with this individual, the contracts, the payments, the bank wires were in. Everyone was happy that
Yeah,
everything was forward, And then once we established that wonderful connection with that buyer, then we were able to do more business and continue more and more and more.
right. And is it just sort of like when you say that you're able to continue to do more and more in business, that means that they've built the relationship with you. They're now like, okay, we've brought down one artist that was successful. What are other artists that you've got? Let's work this so then we can try and just make sure that we've got like a running cycle of doing these events.
Absolutely. That's usually how it works. Once you bring one artist down, then the invitation opens up to other artists. And they're like,
Yeah.
great, we had this artist, wonderful. And I mean, the only time, like in the contracts, if God forbid somebody had like, which was very rare if they were like had a cold or,
Okay.
couldn't or couldn't rap. That was
Yeah.
the only time that we will postpone possibly a date, and then they would reschedule it another time. Or
Okay.
maybe, God willing, if a flight or something was canceled that was out of our control,
Yeah.
mechanical problem,
Yeah. Got
those
you.
are the only things.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say, for example, that there is someone that is interested in breaking into this career, into this space. What are some things that you think are important for them to know before they jump in?
I think before they jump in, they would just have to know that they have to have an open mind as far as like trusting individuals,
Yeah.
network, and
Right.
just following up, meaning just keeping these good relationships going with these people.
Yeah. Okay. And I know that I've asked you this, but if you could break what you love about your industry and what you love about your role in 3 words, what would you say?
Passion, excitement, entertainment.
Oh man, that sounds like a good career. And finally, what does the future hold for yourself, Jennifer?
Oh my goodness. As far as the future holds, I'm still doing acting, I'm still doing producing. So I actually have some more documentaries
Oh,
up. I have my own personal thing called My Way, where I'm
okay.
actually bringing in the artists that I've known from like before they were famous, and even along the way that I'm going to be sharing different stories and just working on documentaries. So that's
Lovely.
going to be very exciting just to know the stories. Like, I was working on this particular project and I was introduced by this person, and this is how it all came about.
Jennifer, thank you so much for your time. It has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and understanding about your career.
It was a pleasure, and thank you so much for having me.